I've got something a little different for you this week. I'm releasing a video to the public, which was originally made and released to my Patreon supporters in late January of this year. It goes into detail of what the Traxor Workshop series cost to produce in terms of time and money. I'm releasing it now out of general interest, but also as a little bit of self-promotion, because I want to show the sort of thing that my Patreon supporters get for their contributions. As well as this, there's behind the scenes and some additional exclusive content, as well as a weekly week in the workshop kind of vlog. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hi everybody. So the Traxor Workshop series is out in the wild. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about it, about how long it took me to put together, and about what it cost. Let me hit you up with a few details. Obligatory sticky note. It's in 7 parts, as you might have seen. There's 98 minutes of video, 7.5 gigs of edited video from over 100 gigs of raw footage shot. That's quite a lot. It's one of the biggest series I've ever done, and certainly one of the most involved, and one with absolutely the longest lead time. I made an off-the-cuff comment at the very end of my first Festool versus Cheap Tool Traxor series, and literally it just occurred to me as I was doing the piece to camera to say, oh well, I'll do a Traxor Workshop video. I thought that sounded like a really good idea, I'll do that. And then that sort of developed a life of its own. I couldn't get to do it that first year. I started it and had to stop again, and I tried doing it last year and had to stop again just because of the pressure of work. First time I was just trying to get my head around the scope of what I was doing, coming to terms with, you know, where this should start and where this should end and who it's for. And it's very much a kind of a beginner's series, a new user series, somebody new to Traxors, and it takes them through it, kind of leads them by the nose through the various stages. Hopefully there's enough in it to keep old hands like yourselves interested as well. And one of the problems I had last year, apart from being sort of crazy busy, was that I just didn't quite know where to go with it. I've still got a portable bench build to do. I originally had that as part of the Traxor Workshop, and I decided to separate that out as a separate thing, so that'll happen later on. The other thing I really discovered that I needed to do on these longer series, I've done a couple of longer series before, but not one that I've planned out like this, is that I needed to dedicate some time to it. You can't really do it in dribs and drabs. You can't shoot a part here and then a part there. You really need to dedicate a chunk of space to it, a chunk of time to it. And I decided to do it now in January of 2019 because I was mad busy up until Christmas. I've obviously got decent earnings. I needed to take a bit of time off in January. I said previously that I was going to ease my way back into the work schedule, the workload, fairly gently, and it's taken a little bit longer than I expected, to be honest. It has been almost exactly 14 working days to shoot this 7-part series. It doesn't quite work out neatly as, you know, a day to shoot and a day to edit for each session, but more or less that's what it's taken. Excuse me. And during the normal working year, I can't possibly dedicate 14 days, take 14 days out of my work schedule to do that. I might be able to take a few days here and there, but I just can't allow that length of time. And even now, when it's been relatively quiet, I've still had other jobs to fit in and to fit around it. And the reason that I needed to dedicate that kind of time is simply because there's sometimes you shoot the stuff and you edit it and you see what you've done and you need to go back and change things. It's the reason why movies with prequels and sequels tend to be shot at the same time, because you've got the whole cast and crew there and you can do that sort of thing relatively easily. Well, obviously on a much smaller scale here. So I needed to dedicate a chunk of time to it, and I have actually done that now, thankfully. And I wanted to try and keep it to a 7-part series rather than running to 8. Obviously, 98 minutes of video. You could easily have gone to 10-minute vids. But I wanted to try and restrict it to 7 or 8 if I can, because that's at the time of shooting and editing, I was thinking that I'd do it on a sort of daily, release them on a daily basis. And if you do 7, then you release on a Friday, and the last one comes out on the Thursday, so you can start the whole thing again. With this one, it's been such a long time coming. I just wanted to get it all out there. I don't know how this is going to work, to be honest. I don't know of anybody else who's done a 7-part series released at the same time. It's early days, seems to be going okay, but we'll see. The danger with it is that there's some really nice little project pieces within the series. The crosscut jig is really good. The parallel guides are good. Making the long guide rail is really good. And my worry about it is that those little nuggets might get lost in the general noise, and I may have to revisit those as separate videos later on if that's what happens. But I wanted to get the whole series out there, partly because what difference does it make really if I release them every day or I do them all at once? I didn't want to get into releasing it every week, because I've done a long series which was released weekly, and it just gets boring. I get bored with it. I'm sure you guys get bored with it as well. You could do it twice a week for 3 weeks, but again, the same thing applies. It just sort of dominates the whole channel, and I'd rather release it all into the wild in one hit like this. I think I might have shown you the trailer, or you might have seen the trailer, the Instagram trailer that I did. People can go at it at their own pace. You can binge watch it if that's what you want to do. You can take it slowly, one little piece at a time, if that's what you want to do. Up to you. If you do binge watch it, that actually works quite well to the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube loves it if you watch one after another, and that was part of my thinking as well. That might do quite well for me in that regard. And fairly obviously, in terms of the money side of this thing, 14 days of my time, if I'd had to bill my time for that's £4,500. Well, this video series would never have been shot. Even if it had cost me £4,500, it would never have been shot. Obviously it hasn't, because I've done it at a time when I'd expected to be quiet. But there's still some actual cost, and there's still some cost to my time as well. So I've got to try and turn this into a bit of an earner one way or another. And one of the things that I've decided to do with it is to have fixed adverts on it. They're not skippable. I don't ask that everybody watches the adverts, but more than half of my videos had the adverts skipped, and I'm starting to go towards fixed non-skippable ads just to try and generate a bit more income. I am, of course, immensely grateful to the Patreon support that you guys give me, because it does really make a huge difference, especially when it comes to buying the bits and pieces for series like this. I like to purchase the tools that I review where possible. I'm sure I could have got a hold of somebody at Aldi or Screwfix or Triton or whoever else and got loaners in or whatever else, but there's always a feeling that you're kind of beholden to them, and if you give them a bad review, they'll probably take it on the chin, but they probably won't give you anything else in return. So there's always that little sort of slight concern. I like to go out and buy the tools I use as a punter would. But obviously there's a certain amount of expense involved in this. And one of the things I'm thinking of doing, I don't know for sure that this is absolutely identical to the Shapak PL55 saw, but it certainly looks very similar. It is a Shapak saw. It goes back to Shapak, like all the Aldi stuff. It goes back to the originating manufacturer for any customer service or returns or whatever else, and it goes back to Shapak. And I'd always thought of Shepak as being sort of a mid-range saw, but looking at this, I don't think it is. I think it's fairly low end. So which saws then are the mid-range? I guess there's the Triton, which is a couple of £100. There's an Erbauer, which is about 150, which is a slightly bigger one. How many others are there in Britain? Obviously, at the low end, there's a Lidl Parkside that I haven't got my hands on yet. I'll see if I can find one of those. But I'm thinking maybe there's another Traxor video to be had in the mid-range. When you start getting into the Makitas and the DeWalts, then obviously the Festool and the Mafel, you're kind of moving up the stack, and I think those have been sort of done to death to an extent. But I'm not aware of anybody really having a good look at the Triton or the Erbauer, to be honest. So maybe I'll do something with those. Anyway, that's the state of play for now. I think the videos are doing quite well. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've found them interesting. Let me know if they're too detailed, if they're too basic for you, or if you're an old hand. Let me know if there's something in there for you as well. But that's it for this quick video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.